The scene starts with Matt Murdock walking in wearing the black uniform. He walks down the hall getting a listen for his surroundings and feels the door before pushing it in and beginning to brawl with everyone in that room. He's doing this because these people are holding a kid captive, and he needs to take down everyone in this area to save that kid. This is from the first season of Daredevil, and this hallway scene is where he first tests his abilities and will as a vigilante. This fight scene's been praised for years since it came out. The camera pans away as we hear fighting in the background until the door breaks off its hinges from this guy being thrown at it. This guy comes to check out the issue, but Matt heard him coming and threw a microwave at him as he gets in front of the door frame. Matt throws another dude at the wall and grabs this guy's gun. He hits him in the face with the gun, and amidst the struggle, the gun goes off. A knee to the stomach is able to disarm it while he goes for the next two people. Matt goes underneath the pistol of the next guy, grabbing his wrist to push the arm to the upper left. As he's opening the arm up, he's already swinging the gun in his right hand upward as basically an uppercut with the butt of the gun. Then with current control on the gun arm, he swings back down to hit the next guy's arm and trap. Now, this guy's arm is wrapped around Matt because he pulled it that way with the momentum of this swing down. His right elbow is also holding the arm there. So this guy's weapon limb is extended out, therefore his strength and balance is compromised anyway. Only thing he can do here is hit Matt in the back with his left hand, preferably the knee to knock him down or weaken his leg a little. A good old Rama staple. Matt is able to disarm him, but it's very dark. Let me see if I can see it a little bit better. That looks great. So you can see Matt moves his arm from the wrist to the slide of the gun and does this whole body motion to put the strength into his left arm to twist the gun out. And you can see the gun falls to the ground here. If you think about how a gun is held, where is grip the weakest? It's right here. The only thing holding it in place is a thumb. You can therefore twist the gun towards grip being the weakest, and it is not that hard to get it out, especially with leverage of the slide of the gun. With knives, it's the same in terms of where grip is weak, but there's some differences. Usually this gun here twisted out like this, the trigger is so likely to get pulled. Like here, the equalizer twists the gun back around, not moving his head or anything while getting the gun out. It is precisely this motion where the finger may accidentally or on purpose pull the trigger. So for Daredevil here, he's twisting the gun this way, and if he's a hero that doesn't kill and in fact prevents deaths, then he should make sure the muzzle doesn't point at this guy on the ground at all. During this, Matt's right arm simultaneously goes down and up, then his left hand, now free, grabs over his shoulder, his right leg lifts up, and Matt pulls him down. Everything we just saw is the basics of a takedown. He off-balances upper body, Kazushi. He gets into position and he executes the takedown by tripping him over his leg and throwing him down to the ground. This move is known in judo as an osotogari, but it's a classic in essentially every martial art. Matt stumbles for a moment and kicks this guy. You've definitely seen this scene before, so you know how realistic it is in displaying true human exhaustion when it comes to fighting. You see glimpses of it in other movies and shows, but none like this scene. Matt blocks the next guy at his wrist and twists the gun 90 degrees counterclockwise. Get out of the way, move, okay, cool. Yeah, first priority is to get out of the line of fire. He chills in the red zone a little too long. Matt elbows him and throws the gun. I'll just pretend this gun actually hit this guy, and I'm letting that slide because this scene is a oneer. Like the famous hallway fight scene in Old Boy, which this Daredevil scene gets compared to a lot, or the one-shot action sequences in Extraction. Except Extraction has invisible cuts. This Daredevil scene is literally one take, no invisible cuts. Same goes for the prison fight scene I'm looking at later in this video. Then Daredevil flips this guy forward on his back. For the sake of the scene, it looks like they just concealed the move and flipped the guy over. But a joint lock could achieve something like this, especially with a gun in the hand, because that adds leverage over a joint. He would have to twist the wrist and arm counterclockwise, then put pressure on the elbow. And if he did it quickly, the guy would instinctually flip forward, like a reflex, because joint locks are painful.
Brings on a bit of pain there, as you can see.
And this dude doesn't want his arm to break, so you go with the flow of what the joint lock's pushing you to do. Now, the lock I just explained is like a hammer lock or a police arm lock. Whatever a specific term would be, that's something that would work here. Matt's clearly gassed at this point. I mean, look at him. This guy makes a point to fluff his jacket to show he means business. Matt dodges the punch by kicking off the wall and hitting him in the back with the gun still in his hand. This is absolutely beautiful. I'll let it keep playing, but I'll talk about this in a second. I love this kick off the wall. He hits this dude in the stomach, this dude in the throat. A gun to the throat is closer to life-threatening than not. Throat chops can either do temporary damage or they can kill. Matt whips the gun across this dude's face, then throws this guy into the room. He spins around throwing the gun. He does that a lot. Throwing a gun at someone who's coming in from from far away. Also, it's always a gun that he already disarmed someone with, because he's never showing up with a gun. Now, Matt's against the wall, actually exhausted. Fighting is always exerting as much energy as possible, which even people who are trained get their energy zapped quickly. It's like sprinting. How long can you go at your top speed? Matt parries the next dude's punch and wails on him a little before hooking him into the room, and he leans against the wall again. This type of exhaustion shows in his head drooping. It's not like his neck muscles are even being pushed as hard as his arms are, but his energy stores are so drained he has no energy to hold his head up properly. This hallway is now a pit where he has to fight hard and get 2 seconds to rest before doing it again. He stumbles, throws powerless looking punches before being pushed back, and then he does a spinning hook kick. Alright, not bad, Uriah Hall. Kicks I really like, and you can generate a lot of power with them even when tired. I go into the mechanics of a spinning kick like this in my last video. Matt dodges under this guy's punch and generates a thunderous uppercut. He hits the other dude a few times and spins under this dude's punch to drive into his stomach and face, then backfist this dude. Then look at this kick, barely any power to it. Too tired. Then watch this kick off the wall and punch in the face. There's 2 ways Daredevil is using his environment in this cramped hallway scene. The first way is when he threw the microwave at this guy. The second way is using the cramped space to his advantage by propelling himself up and allowing gravity to generate the power for these hits. He backs up into the wall, barely able to stand up as the next guy comes for him. He blocks the punch by closing the distance and stopping at the wrist and shoulder, and then he headbutts him. A headbutt is a good move here, but if you aim for the nose, it would have been better. A headbutt is only effective if you hit it in the right spot, or you're just gonna end up hurting yourself. Then he backfists him again in a jump spin kick. Absolutely love it. This makes him spin into the wall, where the next guy gets a hit off in his back. He gets a mini beatdown before elbowing the guy in the back and then punching the guy in the front. He gets ran into the wall where he gets put in a chokehold. He actually kicks off the wall to knock them both on the ground. Don't do that. Especially with this dude running after him. Being in a standing rear naked choke, you have way more opportunities to be able to get out of it. A rear naked choke on the ground, that is so much harder to get out of. Matt never should have taken it to the ground, but we don't get to see what happens, so I assume he did what I would do, which is just get out of it with relative ease. Matt slammed into the wall, elbows twice. I've said it many times before, but the elbow's great. Especially in a clinch, Matt elbows a lot to deal damage in such close proximity. A front kick at Matt, which he dodges and takes him down at 3 points of contact, pulling the shoulder back, the front leg up, and sweeping the back leg. Then 2 punches, and my favorite part of the entire scene, a forward running side flip kick down at this dude. Now the idea here was for him to kick his face, but you can tell there's a lot of space between his foot and that dude's face. Again, this is a 1-take scene, so I'll let it slide. What I like most about this flip though, is that it actually makes sense for how tired he is. That might not make any sense. He did an entire side flip while he's exhausted. For a flip you don't plan on landing, and you plan on just falling flat on the ground like this, it actually doesn't take that much energy. About as much energy to just jump. But the genius here is that he's using the circular momentum and gravity to gain the power in his foot to hit this guy on the ground, as opposed to just kicking him normally. Therefore, he uses less energy for it. The only downside with it would be if there's other people in the hallway still trying to fight him. But given it's just one guy, he's fine to fall flat on the ground and be exhausted. So they both get up, and Matt just beats on him a little more. This thing he does on the wall of leaning against it and using his hips to change his center of gravity so he can stand up straight, so realistic for exhaustion. He buries a punch, then punch, punch, uppercut, and final punch where he actually falls into the next room. This is a stunt double change right here, where Charlie Cox is able to come in after the real fighting has happened. Then Matt goes in this room to pick up the kid and get out of there. So that's a really good scene. It makes sense as to why it's received so well, because it's so raw and real. There's another scene that's done in 1 take. In fact, for a much longer time, a whopping 11-minute 1-take scene. This one's in season 3, where Matt's in a prison, no outfit, and instead of coming here to take down a bunch of guys, like he did in the other scene to save a child, he's the one being attacked in this scene. For context, he was just drugged, and he doesn't want to fight, but is now being ambushed and forced to so he can survive. The first scene, he's tearing through the hallway. This one, he's being torn through. Both are hallway fight scenes, and both are done in 1 take. So Matt's in this room after getting drugged and having a very friendly conversation with Kingpin. It's at this point he realizes he's going to be attacked. You can see on Matt's face, he's like, for goodness sake, I do not want to do this. But there's 3 prisoners closing out on him, so he has to. Therefore, he dodges and parries the first guy's punch to then punch and slam his head on the wall, using his environment. He then dodges under this dude's punch immediately without looking, because he heard it coming. It's a cool concept that this character has. I love Daredevil because you can explore different ways of action with a character who has insane hearing. bag. He punches this dude in the shoulder, blocks this punch, and throws him down. His leg is likely stuck out right here, which is how he's able to throw him down. He punches him on the ground and gets thrown into the wall. He's now being put in between these two dudes, where this guy goes for a hammer fist, which Matt passes the arm downward, holding it in place. This dude could totally use his left hand to throw some punches on Matt right now. Matt stomps something, and the way he stomps, I'm thinking he hit the top of the foot. That's a painful area. Understanding all the weak points in the body opens up opportunity to take advantage of it and dash, which is what Matt's trying to do right here. Once Matt gets down low, he picks this guy up at the legs and throws him down. He delivers another punch, but see, he looks tired already. Because he just fought 3 dudes, it's been just a few seconds and he's already exhausted, which is very realistic. Matt's also taking more punches than normal, at least compared to the first scene. Remember, he's also drugged in this scene, so he has so many current disadvantages he has to deal with. The prisoner dodges his punch and knees him in the stomach. This moment right here where Matt goes out of frame is a stunt double switch. He gets one punched and Matt dodges under the next guy going for a grab. This prisoner stops the punch, puts his head under Matt's armpit and grabs his leg to pick him up. Here, Matt has his head, right arm, and right leg. He could elbow his back, headbutt him, and try to kick at him at the top of the knee. The top of the knee would definitely do a lot. Matt gets spun around before this guy comes in to spin him harder to hit Matt's head on the wall. Then this guy runs in and knees Matt into the wall. He keeps getting beat down. He charges this guy into this guy where this prisoner could elbow at his back or knee him, but instead he picks him up and throws him down. More hits, and Matt hits the world's most ambiguous hit of all time. If anyone know what he was supposed to hit here, let me know. Matt gets picked up and slammed on the table. Stunt double switch again right here as he goes behind the table, and he crawls back as Charlie Cox. Matt takes a syringe and stabs this dude in the leg with it. It's the same syringe he got drugged with. This is again Matt using his environment. He slams his face on the ground and then hits this dude with the hospital table, using his environment. Throws him over it, then jumps up to kick this dude and lands on the table. That kick right there, it's the same kind of energy as when he propels off the wall. I really like that style of his fighting where he uses his environment to propel himself. He slams this dude's head on the table, then this guy runs into him and starts to choke him out with one hand. As soon as I saw this, I knew he would twist that arm the wrong way, and he did exactly that. He then, quote, breaks his elbow, and the only way you know that's what he does is from a bone break sound effect. This does not look like he broke his elbow. Although this is a one-take fight scene on a time crunch, so there's inevitably going to be moments that don't fit what it's supposed to be. So again, I'll allow it. He then pulls and slams his head into the table. This table right here is basically a bludgeoning weapon for Matt. Here he kicks it out as this guy's using it to stand up. This is a good section of the scene where Matt's environment is literally his weapon. Matt gets up totally gassed. He's panting like a dog. Stops for a second in the hallway to catch his breath, then keeps going. Matt gets a mini prank from this prisoner trying to get out. He winds his arm up thinking he needs to fight again, then keeps on walking. These police officers yell at him to get on the ground. He's yelling that he needs help and he's been attacked. He thinks they're going to help him, but as they get closer, they reveal that they're going to kill him. So Matt has to get up and struggle around with these 2 officers that are swinging batons. Matt gets hit with a baton 7 times. I counted. Those are super hard and painful, by the way. Matt kicks one officer back and stops a baton swing, getting control of the arm and disarming him. It's kind of hard to see, but I think what he did was fold the thumb down to disarm the baton, which would work. That is real. As I said before, grip is weakest here. Another way to open grip when you have control of the wrist like this is to bend the wrist towards the person. When you do that, you can check this right now, like literally do it right now, your fingers can't curl in with any strength anymore.
They have no choice but to open, and when it opens it becomes looser, and the knife can fly out.
So the weapon can be taken out easily. Matt gets up and easily just disarms this guy and hits him and his boy with the baton just a few times. A piece of baton actually flies off here that shows how hard he was hitting it. Here's the issue with so many action movies is that the protagonist gets hit many times and gets back up, but the villains usually take 1 or 2 hits and seemingly get dealt 10 times more damage. Matt took 7 batons to the face and the body, while these guys took 2, and they were down for the count. Just a little gripe I have. Then, after that, the action is essentially over. There's about 7 more minutes of this one-take scene that has very minimal action in it. On paper, this scene isn't really unbelievable, but with context of the rest of the show, it's actually quite good. So when it comes to these 2 scenes, the hallway scene and the prison scene, there's a few comparisons and contrastisons that I can make. First of all, they're both oneers. True oneers. No butts, no cuts, no coconuts. It's all in one take. Matt also gets pretty exhausted in both of these scenes, but for different reasons. The first hallway scene is essentially him proving to himself that he can do it, that he can take on all these men and have his will tested tested to the extreme. The prison scene, he's drugged, and he almost starts off tired, and by the end of the entire scene, he can barely walk. I love how in the first scene, as you're literally watching it, you can see how tired and exhausted he gets, and you can almost, as a viewer, at least I can, feel that exhaustion just because it looks so real. It's not as strong in the prison scene, but you can still feel it a little bit. Now, the part that's best done in the first scene is his use of his environment. Both scenes he uses his environment, and actually most scenes from the show Daredevil, he uses his environment to not only propel himself, but also to use as weapons. Slamming heads on walls, throwing a microwave, those are weapon uses, but jumping up off of a wall to punch down, that's how he's propelling himself with his environment. They're both in tight spaces where Matt can use that to his advantage, and especially in the first scene, I really like how they displayed that. But the biggest contrast in these two scenes is that in the first scene, Matt is tearing through the hallway. He needs to save a kidnapped child, so he has to rip all these people to shreds in this hallway to make it to that kid. It tests his stamina, his will, but he ends up being able to do it. As for the prison scene, fighting his way through is the last thing he wants to do. You can see his heart kind of drops whenever he finds out he has to. He's angry. Even though he's blind, he actually shows a lot of emotion through his eyes. And so once he's being targeted by the prisoners and the corrupt security, it turns into a fight of survival. In the first fight, he's a predator. In the second, he's prey. But those two scenes, the hallway scene from season 1 and the prison scene from season 3, are just two wonders in the entire Daredevil show. There's more as the seasons go on, and ones that I really like the scene where his hands are taped with a gun and a chain, and he has to fight the biker gang. What an awesome scene. When he goes to pull the trigger, he laughs for a second before going into an all-out brawl. I don't know, it's just so cool. I'll have to revisit and analyze that one at some point. Now in the second show, Daredevil Born Again, the opening Wonder fight scene it was kinda cool. A big issue I had is that it felt a lot less grounded. More CGI work was done, not super cool techniques. It was just, I don't have much to say on it. But in the second season of Daredevil Born Again, there's a one-take fight scene that's not actually one take. It has invisible cuts, but regardless, it is probably my favorite, and I am 100% coming back to analyze it. It starts with him putting a key card on the door, waiting a second, then runs in with 100% force, taking these dudes down with insanely cool moves, and then jumps back to kick on this dude, transitioning himself into just standing there. Goodness gracious, what a way to start a scene. And this stance is just, does he know there's a camera on him? He pulls this stance multiple times in this scene, like, we get it, dude, but it's such a great scene. So yeah, I'm definitely going back to that. I've gotten loads of comments to do Daredevil since I started this channel, and I'd like to thank Noah, Christopher Dean, and JD for suggesting the show on the Google form I created. And for JD, diss and come back with a headbutt. If you have any movies, shows, or scenes you'd like me to review, the Google form is in the description, and I'll give you some credit at the end of the video if I review that movie. Daredevil's dope, great show, great fight scenes. New video soon. Peace.